When my daughter was a little tiny girl, like 2 or 3 years old, she got a splinter in her hand, right in the meaty part of her palm one day, and she just wouldn't let my wife touch it. Days passed, and that hand got bright red, and she started walking around with her hand pressed against her stomach. And so eventually Carrie said to me, "We've got to do something about this." And by do something, she meant that I had to hold my daughter completely still while Carrie took a needle and dug that splinter out. I thought of myself as a pretty strong guy. I was in my late 20s, but this little 30-pound child was hard to hold still. It was hard to get that splinter out. And through that whole process, our daughter is screaming and crying and making these terrible noises because it's incredibly painful for her. And I'm not embarrassed to say that once the splinter was removed and the process was over, my wife and I both were in tears because it was just so hard to put our daughter through so much pain. And yet it was worth it, because once the splinter was out, her hand completely healed and everything was fine. And I think about that when I think about our next series. The Bible says there are these things embedded deep in our souls, and they're causing pain. They're drawing us away from God. And the Bible calls those things idols. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, I know what an idol is. I don't have any statues at home that I bow down to. I don't have any pagan gods that I offer sacrifices to. But really, an idol is anything in your life that is more important to you than God is. So here's a test. If you can think of anything in your life that you think you couldn't live without, anything in your life that you just can't imagine if it was gone, whether your health, whether a relationship with a particular person, whether your future success, plans, goals, dreams, or something you have in your life presently, if it brings you so much identity, security, joy, happiness, peace, purpose, that you just wouldn't want to live without it, then that thing is an idol to you. And I'm talking about these could be some very good things that become idols in your life. And that leads to some really difficult questions like, well, if my children are an idol in my life, does that mean I need to abandon them? If my job is an idol, does that mean that I need to become unemployed? We're going to deal with those questions and more in our series that starts April 28th is the first message in the series. It lasts 9 weeks, and we're going to confront some of the most prevalent idols in American culture. Here's the thing. This is not going to be a fun series. This is going to be painful to hear. There's going to be times when you'll probably get mad at me because we don't like people messing with our idols. Just like my daughter didn't want anyone to touch that splinter in her hand. And yet, just like that splinter, once we put idols in their proper place, we experience the joy, we experience the freedom that we were created to have. So I hope you'll make a commitment to be here all 9 Sundays of our series, Nothing Held Back.